Good morning, everyone. We're so glad you took the time to visit with us today. We have a couple more minutes before everybody gets on, but we're glad that you are here. So who has fun plans for the week?
We're going to go set up at the farmer's market.
Oh, yay. Always fun times at the farmer's market for sure.
It was we had a lot of fun last week, a lot of vendors, a lot of food. So looking forward to that and hoping that it doesn't rain.
Yes. Oh, Karen's going to the beach. Wow, that's fun. So which beach?
So we are going to North Carolina down to the coast.
Awesome.
To see my brother. Yeah.
Neat. Very good. Oh, sounds like a great having a resource day, grilling lunch. That's awesome. Anyone else have weekend plans?
I've got farmers market in the morning, and then that afternoon, one of my FCE groups, which is like a bunch of my family and then a bunch of people in my neighborhood, we're going down to Jonesboro to watch a play together. So it should be a good day.
Yeah, sounds like we have some fun weekend plans. Thanks, Sarah. Anything else? Has anybody been to the Scottish Highland Games that used to be in Maryville? We're going to head out that direction, we think, so we'll see. Oh, many times. So Cora, please, is it wonderful?
Yeah, it is wonderful. My sister competed there, so yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, very good. Well, it's great to see so many faces. We'll give it a couple more minutes, and the topic is, what are we doing this weekend? So we have going to the beach, going to a play, farmers markets, grilling. I probably missed somebody, but I think the tone is we're going to be able to balance it all and refresh this weekend, I think. Sounds like it. And I'm hopefully, fingers crossed, going to the Highlands games, but we'll see if that really happens. Anyone else have great plans this weekend? Oh, Jessica's painting her house. Yes, and yes. And Sarah mentioned going to church Sunday. It's part of the weekend too. Very good. Very, very good. Oh, lots of these. Oh, going to my cousin's wedding in Kentucky. Lacey, I'm so sorry. You have 2 kids with strep. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, and building a deck. Well, that hard work, Lisa, will pay off and you'll be able to enjoy the view or just the gatherings in your on your deck. And Clint has something big happening. He's going to be moving. So we wish you luck. I'm sure it'll go flawlessly. So I think it's a minute after. And so what we're going to do is we'll give people time to get on, but let's go ahead and, as part of being respectful to your time, let's go ahead and get started. I am live from Smith County Ag Center with the Professional Association meetings. And if you hear some noise in the background, that might be me. And I'm in a big auditorium. So with people occasionally coming through and making noise. So I apologize in advance. We have a distinguished presenter today in Dr. Karen Franks. Those of us that work with her know just how lucky we are and how talented and dedicated she is. And today she's going to talk about impact. So I will turn the program over to Dr. Franks.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here with you today, and it's great to talk about evaluation on a Friday. And we're going to be focusing on economic impact. So nothing like talking about money and numbers and all that kind of good stuff to start off your weekend right. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Karen Frank. I am the evaluation specialist here in Knoxville for Family and Consumer Sciences. And I work, I have one assistant right now, Ruth Wren, who focuses on TNCEP and EPNEP evaluation, and she manages all of our data for TNCEP. And we also have an open position that will be focusing on success stories, and we're actively recruiting participants. We're actively recruiting potential candidates for that. So if you know anybody that likes talking to people and likes writing, send them our way, because we'd love to have a great person for that. So the reason that we have these positions in Family and Consumer Sciences is we are here to help support and strengthen our programs. And we do help with some evaluation for overall extension and 4-H as well. So both Ruth and I are 100% grant funded positions. So we do a lot of help on grant proposals and bringing in those types of dollars. But then we also help with other evaluation needs, such as needs assessments. Obviously, we collect a lot of data and analyze it, and we do reports and dissemination. And just because we're grant funded, that doesn't mean we can't help you with other evaluation needs. Feel free to reach out anytime you need help, and we'll see what we can do. So as I got started on this presentation, I really wanted to focus on how FCS and the programs that you do really benefit our communities and the state overall with economic impact. Sometimes I hear from agents that their programs don't always have a great dollar amount like some of the A&R programs. And I'm hoping that you guys are using our indicators to show some of the economic benefit. And I thought today would be a good time to kind of review some of that so we can make sure we are showing the return on investment for FCS programs. So every year, Hannah Wright does an economic impact report for extension. And I wanted to share this because there are dollar amounts for all extension programs that show the benefit of investing in extension. So this is for FCS, agriculture programs, and 4-H. And you can see that for every dollar in public funds invested in extension programs, an estimated $8.29 is returned to the people of Tennessee. So I think this just highlights the value of overall extension programming and why investing in extension is a great thing to do. So another part of her report is looking at other economic impacts that extension programs have shown to have. So overall, for 2021, Extension's combined impact was $595.3 million. Again, this is for everything. This is for 4-H, A&R, and FCS. And I just want to point out that FCS programs accounted for 41% of that $595.3 million. So we accounted for $243.6 million from our programs. And part of the way we calculate the economic impact of our FCS programs are things that you guys are reporting in Super. It's not all that. There are some additional information that we pull in from some of our other programs, but quite a bit of that is from what you guys are reporting in Super. So it's really critical that you continue to report to the economic indicators that we have there. So right now we have 8 economic indicators that you can report to in Super. We have indicators that represent each of our knowledge areas. So I'm just going to go over them just as a reminder and sort of give you an overview of how to report to these indicators. So I'm going to, and just a reminder that these are grounded in research. Our faculty went through research, found cost estimates for investing in these behaviors and long-term effects of these behaviors. These are estimates, but most cost-benefit analyses are estimated returns on investment. And again, it's just a really good way to provide evidence for the value of our programs. You know, obviously not everything comes down to an economic benefit, but when we can show that, I think it can be a very powerful message, especially for some of our stakeholders like legislators. So for consumer economics, the 2 indicators that they have are pretty straightforward. So these are both from their long-term, not long-term, but their 3-month follow-up on their surveys. And it's just a 1-to-1. So it's just a question about increased savings or reducing debt. And you just take the information that you get on those surveys and you put it right into Super. So there's no math, nothing like that. So those are pretty easy. Those aren't the only economic indicators that are reported on. They have some information that's collected at the state level as well, but these really do help when you report these for your programs. So now we're going to get into the math part. So for human development, these are pretty straightforward too. So if you are teaching parenting apart, all you have to do is multiply the number of participants by $520. So just make sure if you're teaching parenting apart that you're including this indicator so you can make sure that this information gets captured. And their other indicator, again, is pretty straightforward. So the number of people who complete Relax Anger Management Program, you can multiply that by $2,500. And one of the reasons why this is higher is because it has been linked to lower risk of crime, which if you're incarcerated, incarceration is pretty expensive. So diverting people from that and helping people improve their education both have pretty high price tags in the long term. All right. So let's talk about our nutrition indicators. So for our diet quality indicator, make sure if you're reporting to X of X participants had healthy eating patterns following the dietary guidelines, make sure you're including the economic indicator as well. It's pretty much a one-to-one. It just includes the economic benefit. So make sure you multiply your graduates by $10 to report to the economic indicator. And just to know, if you're teaching any nutrition education, 10-SEP or FNAP, if you have a 10-SEP program assistant or an FNAP program assistant in your county, you should include both indicators in your reporting, just to help us out and make sure you're capturing all the data you need to be. So the other one is for food safety. So again, if you're reporting to any of the food safety indicators, including canning, number that canned food safely, make sure you're including the foodborne illness economic indicator. So for that one, you want to multiply the number of participants by 1,000. So that's a pretty significant indicator. So make sure you're including it. Again, if you have 10-SEP or FNAP in your county, or you're teaching any type of canning or food preservation, make sure you're including both indicators, especially the economic one. So the community health indicators, again, if you're teaching any of these programs, Stay Strong, Stay Healthy, Arthritis Foundation Exercise Program, Staying Active and Independent for Life, or Walk Across Tennessee, make sure to report to the economic indicator X of X completed group exercise programs that resulted in a medical cost savings of X dollars. And you want to multiply the number of people that completed by $945. So you can see if you have a good group of people that are doing Walk Across Tennessee, that can really add up for your county. So make sure that you're reporting to that indicator. And then finally, our last one for community health. If you're teaching Manner of Balance or Tai Chi, make sure you include the economic indicator for fall prevention programs. So we have different calculations for each of the two programs. For Matter of Balance, you want to multiply that by $938 for graduates. And then for Tai Chi participants, you want to multiply that by $633.90. And I don't think Super lets you put in the decimal point, so just round up. But again, this can add up pretty quickly. So if you have 10 people in Manner of Balance, that's almost $10,000 that you can show in your county for economic benefit for those programs. All right. So in other ways that you can show economic impacts of SCS programs, remember to put your volunteer hours in Super. That's just a great feature that Super calculates those hours for you and shows the return on investment for volunteers. Remember that to highlight any grant-funded positions that you have in your county from 10-SEP and FNAP, those are all really important ways to show the value of the programs. You know, those are not county funded, so it's added value. And if you're getting other grants or donations, remember in your impact statements to highlight those. It's always important to just show the leverage funds that you guys get. I always hear from people about getting donations from, Rural King or the bank or other things like that. And I think it's important that we start to recognize all of those contributions and make sure people understand that the community and businesses are invested in our programs. And another thing that you can do for TNCEP or FNEP, there is a cost benefit analysis that was done for FNEP that also is applicable for TNCEP or SNAP-Ed, that has calculated for every dollar spent, $10.64 is returned in reduced healthcare costs. So you can, if you have a TNCEP budget for $300 or something like that, you can multiply that by $10.64 and show that in your impact report or any type of report to show, again, return on investment for those program dollars. Okay, so I see in the chat that Mary Beth has asked, can we get a cheat sheet with this information that will make super entry easier, please? Absolutely. I did a cheat sheet I think last year, but it is outdated. So I will make sure to update that so you have this information. I'll also, in our revised indicator booklet, I'm going to make sure that this information is in there as well. So when you're putting your plans together, you can see how to do it and what indicators I recommend you include to make sure you're reporting to the economic indicators. And I'd really highly encourage you to report to as many of those as possible. Again, it just really, at the county level, shows the benefit of your programs. And we absolutely use that data at the state level in the economic impact report, as well as reports to our federal funders. So we just, 41% of our overall extension impact from FCS is really a powerful statement, shows our value, and we absolutely want to continue to have a strong economic presence with extension. I'm not saying that that's the only presence that we want to have, but I do think it's very powerful and really shows all the great work that you guys are doing. Other questions about that? Okay, well, I'm going to shift gears just for a minute while I have you guys here. I did want to just talk just for a minute about pairs, because there's been a little bit of confusion about who needs to report to this and how we're using it. So, extension, we love our acronyms. So pairs, I can't remember what it stands for, but it is the new federal reporting system for SNAP-Ed, which is our TNCEP program. So we have started using that this fiscal year, and TNCEP fiscal year starts October 1. Our program assistants, our TNCEP program assistants, are inputting some data into the system, and then Ruth is also inputting data at the state office. FCS agents do not have to input any data into the system. We do ask that if you're doing 10-step programming, especially direct education, please turn in your 10-step paperwork to the state office. We'll be entering that into pairs for you. So we want to make sure we're capturing all of the data for 10-step. It's really critical right now as we continue to build our programs back from COVID. We took a big hit on how many adults and youth we've been serving in direct education. So it's really critical that we show all of the people that we're reaching as we continue to open up and get back into the swing of things. And just keep in mind that we do provide a summary of 10-step outcomes to agents who have submitted paperwork or who have program assistants in your county, so that you can include those outcomes in Super. We do this in November once we've got everything finalized. And it's critical that you make sure that if you've got program assistants in your county, that you're reporting their outcomes in Super, because they cannot do that. So we want to make sure we're capturing all of that. So that's a lot of talking from me. What questions do you have, or concerns, or evaluation successes you've had lately?
Well, I know I really appreciate having the hard numbers, because that's always my thing. So like, I'm guessing on that. And so that is going to be very helpful for this round of reporting.
Great. Perfect. And Dr. Fox, we'll be posting, we can post this presentation, right?
Mhm. The creative content team has helped. They have it under the FCS classroom. So yes.
So at the end of this presentation, I have all of the references as well that went into those indicators. So I know some people have asked for that. So those are, you'll have access to that as well.
Any more questions for Karen?
One question, Dr. Frank. You said something about a revised impacts and indicators. Are we going to get another booklet, a revised one this year? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you'll get it. I think usually we try to get it to you by August.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Frank? Well, we appreciate the work that she does and recognize the critical work that we all do as a team. We wouldn't be able to report these impacts without FCS agents, locally making that impact and reporting it. And that's why it's so important. I will say that part of the push for these economic indicators is that in visiting with some of my colleagues, they feel like we are underreporting, believe it or not, even though we have 40%. There's a lot of opportunity, I think, for growth and to strengthen that number. And as Karen said, it isn't the only measure of the great work we do, but it is a measure. And with certain individuals, money talks, and it helps us be on level playing ground with the other programmatic areas. So it is important. So thank you very much for all you do. And thanks for Dr. Frank. Anything else that you want to ask Dr. Frank before we move on? Well, thank y'all very much for doing. So I am going to give my presentation. I'll share the screen and we'll start with just sort of an administrative update and have y'all. apologize. Let's see. There we go. Okay. I did want to start out by just, recognizing that we are made up of 4 focus areas in family and consumer science, and reiterating that we really have some amazing over 90, over 65 programs in the 4 areas, which are human development, community health, consumer economics, and nutrition and food safety. And actually, several agents are at a food safety in the central meeting in the central region today. And so I just wanted to emphasize that is kind of where we're at in FCS. We have personnel updates, and as you can see, we're hiring. We're definitely hiring. And so we have the special assistants, special programs position, and that is Merritt Piper's old position. Those of you that know that that position, the interviews are complete and we're checking references. We have some really good candidates, and so we're excited about that. I know Karen Frank is trying to find an extension assistant for evaluation to replace Chantal. And so Dr. Washburn has several positions with the vaccine education program that she's going to just briefly discuss a little bit later, including, she'll tell you a little bit more. And then we're excited, and we have our human development team on. We have a administrative associate that is starting on Monday. And I don't know if Heather or Matt want to say anything about their new administrative associate.
Sure. Hello, everybody. And Heather, obviously, you can add your 2 cents. But Charlie comes from us. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head, but I think North Greenville Community College or college out of South Carolina. She brings some really good experience. She'll be replacing Lori Plattfoot, who was with us for a couple of years. But she also has some design background, a lot of art background too, really, as well as administrative experience. So anyway, we're glad to have somebody finally we can help Carrie Moore get back to normal. So we've appreciated Carrie Moore immensely through this whole transition.
Absolutely. And I just want to chime in and say, echo what Mac just shared, and say a big thank you to Carrie for carrying us during this time. So thank you.
Well, and then we have Career Edge interns, which Clint Cummings has helped us with. He's provided leadership to that. And Clint, if you want to give an update on those interns.
Sure, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So we have 4 interns this year, and I hope I get all this right. So Amanda Huggins is going to Washington County. Angel Bowers will be in Cocke County. We have a Raquel Kempe is going to be in Robertson County. And then Samara White is going to work with Tamara, which I'm having trouble keeping all that straight, right? Samara and Tamara. I want to pronounce them the same, out in Montgomery County. And so we are gearing up for an orientation next week.
Then we have career navigators, and Clint, do you want to just give an update there as well?
Sure, we had successful interviews yesterday for the Eastern. We are then now looking at reference checks and moving that along. And then we'll start with the Western region career navigator search very soon.
Very good. And then our communications coordinator is Chris Miramontes' position. And so we're hoping to hurry that process up. And then we have an extension specialist for the Prosper program, which is Lisa. And I don't know, Lisa, if you want to say anything about that.
Sure. Just real quick, it's a grant funded project. We've got about another year on the grant, and that position will be housed in FCS, but will provide support to 3 counties that are involved in the project. We'll do some technical assistance and also a little bit of reporting type of work.
Very good. Okay, so that's our personnel updates. As you can see, we have a lot of openings because of the wonderful grantsmanship that our department does and has. Our next update has to do with the vaccine education. And Lisa, if you want to just tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I think that you might have heard sprinklings of information about this project and the funding that we have from the Tennessee Department of Health. We have funding with UT Extension, and then the College of Nursing also has their own funding, and our projects are intersecting. So on the UT Extension side of things, counties are going to have the opportunity to be involved at varying levels. So it just depends on what the needs are in your community and your desire for involvement in this type of thing. The focus is on all types of vaccines. So I feel like the public, when they hear vaccine now, they automatically think COVID, but we also have very low rates of childhood immunizations right now, and they really plummeted after COVID hit. So there is a great need to do outreach and to provide some education on vaccinations. We're going to be hiring a program manager at the state level, and also that extension assistant position will provide some support to this project, in addition to fall prevention and some other community health programs. The College of Nursing is still trying to hire nurses. So they're hiring nurses who live in the rural areas that they will be serving, and those community health nurses are also going to be providing support to you guys at the county level, depending on what kind of support that you need. If you know nurses who might be interested in a different kind of a job for a few years, please encourage them to apply. We're really excited about this project, but it's big, and you will hear more about it in the coming months.
It's an exciting project, particularly with the parallel to the College of Nursing. Lisa, do you know, are there targeted counties across the state, or do you have particular qualifiers to be a county that gets a program assistant?
Yes. So the counties that decide to opt in at the highest level, which would involve doing some education add-ons to current programming, will have the opportunity to hire a program assistant. So that's part of our staffing plan. There's a limited number of those available in our budget. So we budgeted for 15 program assistants across the state, assuming that not every county definitely would want a program assistant. So if you're looking for an opportunity to get some supervisory experience, or you've got a backlog of programs that could involve vaccine education as an add-on, and a program assistant would be helpful, I would encourage you to talk to your regional program leader about that. And they will, they're going to be really involved in helping to make sure that the counties who get a program assistant are ones that are ready for it.
Awesome. Any questions for Lisa that anybody might have? And again, I'm really going over, we have amazing programs, but these are some of the ones that are really happening now. So timeliness is important. Any questions for Lisa? Okay. Well, I appreciate it, Lisa. Thank you so much. So many of you, and thank you very much, participated in Tennessee's first Food Waste Awareness Week. It was a statewide awareness campaign and food drive. 43 counties and locations were across the state, with participation really very evenly distributed through all 3 regions of the state. So I'd like to just thank those early adopters within you, that thank you so much for trying this and doing something amazing in your county. Thank you to Dr. Kristen Johnson for doing this. I think the reports are still coming in. I know there was a deadline, but by the deadline, we had over 1,000 pounds of food collected, providing over 10,000 meals to individuals in local communities. So very much appreciated, and thank you for your participation in this event. It's a great collaboration across the state and with some state agencies, and we appreciate your leadership in your counties as well as Dr. Johnson's leadership on the state level. Money Week. So we had an exciting Money Week event this week. It was amazing. President Boyd, Dr. Stokes, and the treasurer participated. And I know Ann is on as well as Mary Beth. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you, so to speak, so you can talk about the program.
Mary Beth, are you at a point you can talk to us, or you want me to talk?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Yeah, so today is our last day of Money Week. We piloted it at one of our local elementary schools. And one of the benefits of it is it's introducing financial literacy at an early age. I trained the first and second grade teachers on the week-long curriculum. We chose right after TCAP. We had gotten some compliments from our school district that mentioned the need for enrichment, specifically right after TCAP. So it was a great review with a little bit of new information. It was a lot of fun. Some of the feedback that we got from the students doing it this week. And yes, on Wednesday, we invited, with the help of Bill Parker with the Tennessee Treasury Commission and Chris Need and Dr. Berry and Marcy, with their help, we got some guest speakers to come in on Wednesday to read every day of the curriculum. There is a new storybook that goes along with the lesson in money. And it happened to do with dinosaurs. And we did have our very own Dr. Fox as a guest speaker, as well as Randy Boyd. We were able to invite our mayor and some other local people. We also had Treasurer Willard come too. So it was a fantastic event. And our greatest feedback is financial literacy is a need. And this curriculum is definitely meeting that need at an early age. Dr. Berry, did you have anything you wanted to mention?
Yeah, Mary Beth did a fabulous job coordinating all this, and I just thank her so much. This program is being, it was piloted last year in one school in Knoxville, and then with help funding from the Tennessee Financial Literacy Commission and the treasurer, we were able to provide materials for a few more schools. And so Mary Beth is just one of the counties that are using the program this spring. And the Financial Literacy Commission will give us a little more money to expand it to 20 additional schools next year. So it's really exciting because, you know, Chris and Marcy and I worked on the curriculum, and we had a little bit of money to do that the first school. And then for the Bill Parker, he said to us one day, what kind of programs are y'all working on? We have a little money to, you know, that we want to share and promote. And so he liked the Money Week one, and so the rest is history. And so we're hoping that this will be a continued partnership, and one day that all elementary schools will have the program. So, but I do appreciate Mary Beth so much. So thank you. And for Dr. Fox and Dr. Stokes and Randy Boyd and all, because it was really fun for the kids to listen to them read. Dr. Fox did a great job reading the story about a dinosaur. And so it was fun. So
Had practice with my grandson who thinks he's a dinosaur sometimes. So I will say that it was great just being there and hearing the teachers' reactions to the curriculum, and very complimentary of the curriculum and its design. And that goes kudos to Dr. Barry Sneed and Marcy Hethman. And so we know we have some amazing expertise in our department. So we appreciate that very much. I will say too, I'm excited that it is both in English and Spanish, because as we look to expand some audiences, this might be a possibility to use in those lower elementary school years.
Oh, I just want to add one more thing about it. Another piece to this is that every day the students are sent home with a newsletter to their parents or guardians that talks about what they learned in the classroom. So it's trying to take the message home as well as, at the school itself. So it's, anytime that you can do that to involve the family, it's even better, and you might get them interested in more extension programs. So
Good part. It was great. Skill Up Tennessee. Most of you have attended. Hopefully, some of you have attended. I think it was last week. The Skill Up Tennessee road trip, and got an update and some ideas on how to promote. And I know we have some of our career navigators on in Deanna and Patricia, and we have Clint on. So I don't know if you want to share anything, but really, we're really asking for your support of 5% of your salary, which really is pretty easy to do. During those meetings, people were given a 45 to give 5, and so 45 ideas that would account for 5% of your monthly salary. So I'm opening up if anybody wants to say anything, ask any questions, etc. And hopefully everyone's familiar with what Skill Up Tennessee does. It is one of the most unique programs in the nation. It's the only one of its kind associated with extension, SNAP Ed, employment and training. So we're very lucky to have that really in our backyard.
Well, I think we had really good trainings last week. It was so good to see everybody in person. And when we heard from participants, I mean, that really set the tone, just that we're really helping people. We're really giving us real life solutions. The rock stars, if you will, are our career navigators who do this day in and day out. And they got lots of I think, connections with agents. And I think agents have a better understanding maybe of what they do on a day-to-day. We thank you all for your time. We thank you for your what you're doing out there, because we are really making a difference in lives. And so thank you all who attended, and for the commitment, the time commitment, and for all the work that you guys are doing.
Anyone else, questions or comments? And again, looping back to Dr. Frank's presentation, for every $1 that we spend on Skill Up, we get, who can tell me, you probably had this in your, I guess, put it in the chat. I know you probably had it in the training.
It was on the beach ball activity. Yeah, if you had to catch that beach ball, it was one of those questions.
It's over $1. Yay, Heather Smith. She's a rock star. Yes, $1.97. Very good. So again, you're creating economic impact in the state with your participation and support. So FACS is FACS. This is the first year we've done it. It hopefully will increase communication among all areas of FCS, county, region, state, as well as feature. One of the things I want it to do is I want to make sure that it's not necessarily repeat of FCS Connect, because I know they have some very, very targeted educational programs. I want to deal with some of the administrative issues that we have, and have y'all have an opportunity to ask me questions. And so this is, I'll send out a survey as a result of this series to get your feedback. So the priority sessions were identified by y'all. You had a variety of areas to choose from that weren't necessarily what we consider our content area, but more other administrative and marketing and those sorts of areas just to choose from, because I know those do come up. So thank you for participating and being active participants. You can see we've had, around, I don't know, not probably 70 people on average participating on a Friday, which I think is good. Sometimes people take off on a Friday, but Friday was an easy day because not everybody schedules things on Friday. So I will say one of the two questions that I'll be answering in the joint association of professional association meetings, the two that related to FCS that came in. And so I'll give you the answers before the officers get the answers per se. One had to do with program assistants having P cards. And so that program assistants do have, there is, on a rare occasion, there are program assistants across the state that do have P cards. However, that's not necessarily a practice that we've really done very much in the past. And the big reason is that it's been a finding in some of our audits that we've had with TNCEP and FNEP. And so we've been discouraged to do that. However, if you feel like it's, critical to what you're doing, we will accept, we want to have an administrative review of that, and you need a plan on how to really reduce the risk, the fiduciary risk of things, going wrong, so to speak. And so you'll have to have a process in place that we can, present that to Jennifer Ward, myself, and Rita Jackson, and we'll go through that process and provide, review it, see if it's accepted, et cetera. But again, it's something that has been advised against in our audit. So we have to be responsible in making sure that we can ensure our funding agency that we are, have plans in place to make sure that nothing that we adhere to strong money management practices per se. Questions about that? And then I want you to know, those of you that are worried about some having 4-H agents having access to some FCS curriculum, we've heard from that, and that's an issue that has been brought up to the organization. And we are putting together a committee that is going to involve FCS, 4-H. I know Ann Berry, Heather Sedges, and Marcy will represent the FCS segment. You'll have your regional program leader that are on that meeting or in that meeting. Then you have some 4-H representation as well. And then you have our creative content team and Karen Sargent and Joel Clark. We'll all come together and we'll try to figure it out. But we need information in terms of which curriculum. We know it on my own is one that's in high demand within the 4-H audience, but we're asking now, as people request, that they go through their FCS agent or Lynn Middleton, who is the curriculum specialist. I know in some cases it's not super practical with a program as large as On My Own, but we're trying to work that out and get a solution to the resources that need to happen. And then Lynn Middleton on her side is looking at the resources and, from a 4-H standpoint, and she's going to have some suggestions and a report to give. So questions on that? And Joe's setting up a meeting regarding that sooner than later. But I know those are two areas that have been reported as concern through the association. So I just want you to know that we are working on it, and we'll address those issues. Questions, comments? Y'all are an easy bunch today. And then finally, circling back to Karen and Dr. Frank, what she reported we're really 41% of that economic impact when you look at 4-H, community economic development, A&R, ag and natural resources, and FCS. And that breaks it down to the areas in which I will say most of our volunteer hours are coming from FCE. And so if you can really report any of those other hours that people are doing, such as for On My Own or the health ambassadors or whatever you might have volunteers engaged in, please, that would be a really good opportunity to sort of bolster our numbers there. So we will continue to work on volunteerism and engaging volunteers in our FCS program. Any questions about that? Okay. Well, any questions generally? We have 10 minutes. So what I'd like to do now with the 10 minutes remaining, if you could list the topics that you would like to see considered for FACS FACS in the future, please put it in the chat, and those will be among those that are ranked. So if you'll spend a minute or so thinking and putting on that, that would be helpful. Do we have any questions or any thoughts on topics or even agenda items? Thank you, June. Always being the trailblazer. And those are the new projects. We have a lot of wonderful projects. I guess while we're waiting on people to give their feedback, does any of our faculty or specialists have anything to add or advertise with the programs they're working on? We have about 5 minutes.
Consumer economics has we had to postpone Western and Central Region in-service back in February. So we have them Wednesday and Thursday of next week. We'll be in Jackson on Wednesday and Rutherford County, Murfreesboro on Thursday. And it's all about changing financial landscape. So if you have not registered and find yourself available, we welcome you. And we're going to learn about cryptocurrency and inflation and housing and all kinds of other things. So if you want, those of you who have registered, looking forward to seeing you.
And what date was that again?
Next Wednesday, the 18th, is for Jackson, and Thursday, the 19th, will be in Murfreesboro.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ann.
Mhm.
So if you have, the annual co-parenting training was rescheduled because of some conflicts on the calendar. It was rescheduled to June 2nd, and it is in Super with the updated date. I need you to register ahead of time. We have most people registered. I think we have 53 people registered right now. So that's a strong showing. But if there's anyone who has not done that yet, really need to do that as soon as possible so that we get some accurate numbers for some things that we're putting in place. And I know the date changed and some of you may have some conflicts, but we have Emily Ellis, who's on here, she and I have been working diligently over the past year, and we're rolling out a lot of new updates to the program. It's fifth year minus COVID year to gap in between. So we want to make sure that we're always staying up to date with that program and giving you new and exciting resources. And we're excited to share about that on June 2nd. So please be sure to register. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Well, we have, I'm going to say 2 minutes longer if anyone else wanted to do a short update. Hearing none, you'll get a couple minutes back in your schedule. Thank you all for participating in the training today. It's very much appreciated, and have a wonderful day and weekend.